Another service you can use for automating the launch and also the management of your applications is Elastic Beanstalk. AWS Elastic Beanstalk is what's known as a platform as a service. You remember we talked about the cloud service models earlier in the course. So what that means is you can actually have an application built for you, and all you need to do is supply the code for that application. So let's have a look at an example. In this case, the developer uploads a zip file to Elastic Beanstalk, and that zip file contains the code for an application. Elastic Beanstalk will then build everything in this environment. So within this orange rectangle here, it's creating these resources: the load balancer, the auto scaling group, the instances, and then configuring the code on those instances so that your application is actually going to run. So what that means is a developer doesn't need to worry about launching and configuring the underlying EC2 instance. They can just deploy some code straight to Elastic Beanstalk. So again, the best way to work out how this works is to go into the console, and we're going to build out an environment on AWS Elastic Beanstalk. On the management console, we'll find Beanstalk under Compute. And what we need to do is create an application. So it's going to ask me for an application name, and I'm going to call this My Node.js app. We can choose a platform. So in this case, we're going to choose Node.js. So that's the application programming environment that we're going to use. And we're going to choose to upload some code. So we've actually got some code, and we're going to upload that. And this is the zip file that we're going to install. So I'm just going to select this one, click on Choose, and then Create Application. And that's all I need to do. Now I could, if I wanted to, configure more options. So let's just have a look at what some of those options are. So we have the options to create high availability applications, so with multiple instances and auto scaling. We can then come down and define all sorts of different attributes associated with this. You know, what instance we're going to use, the capacity. We can define our own security configurations and so on. And we can also define a database through here. So for example, we could use a different database outside of the actual EC2 instance. I'm not going to change any of these. Let's just choose Create App. So while it's happening, you can see the progress, and it's going to show you, and it will take a few minutes to complete, but you can watch what's going on here. And then once it's complete, like with CloudFormation, it's going to give us a URL, and we're going to be able to connect to our Node.js application using that URL. So that just took a few minutes, and you should be automatically directed to this page once the build is complete. And so everything looks good. We've got a nice green health tick here, and we've actually got the URL for our application here. So what we can do is just open this URL, and you should have this page. So you'll get a congratulations message saying that you've installed your first Node.js application using AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So as you can see, we've actually built a web application, but we didn't install anything ourselves on EC2. We just asked Elastic Beanstalk to do it for us. We just gave it the code in that zip file, and it's created our application. Of course, this is a very simple application, but you know, whatever code you have, you can give that to AWS Elastic Beanstalk on one of those supported development platforms, and it will then build that out for you. Now, back in the console here, we can see that we can also upload and deploy a new version. So you can create a new version of your application. You can also go across here and see if there's logs. You can request the logs here, and then it will show you some of the logs. So let's see the last 100 lines of logs, and you can click on download, and then you get this file with all the log file information in it. Under health here, you can also see the status of your application. And then under monitoring, we've got some information about the utilization of the application, so we can monitor what's going on here as well. You can also configure alarms, so you can then go to the monitoring dashboard, configure your alarms, and you can also have some managed updates where Elastic Beanstalk will actually schedule and manage the updates for you. So that's just a really quick overview of Elastic Beanstalk. You can probably see the power of it. And what we're going to do, I'm going to leave this running because in the next section, we're going to actually use this configuration. So what we're going to do then is, it's going to get quite exciting. We're going to use some AWS DevOps tools to create a code pipeline. So that means we're going to use some tools to automatically update and change the code that's delivered to Elastic Beanstalk and update our application for us. So that should be a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you in the next section.